Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another one of my live videos, and today I'm just going to be officially updating you guys on some more current latest news. So reportedly that we know that Manchester United, have got a lot of players coming to the end of the deals, and Jose Mourinho reportedly is going to get tens of millions of pounds to spend in the January window. Reportedly he's looking to address the defensive issues, as we all know, and he's looking for the potential attacker as well. And Jose Mourinho came and press he's not too convinced, and he said it's unlikely that Man United are going to get any major signings in January. He doesn't think we're going to get any Glasgow players, and he's admitted potentially Mourinho that potentially he thinks Man United won't sign no more than one player. You know what he said in his post-match interview yesterday. Jose Mourinho confirmed that we lost a lot of the balls in the midfield. Obviously, we know Mourinho changed the system yesterday in the Southampton game because potentially we made 5 changes from the young boys game. We're now winless in our last 3 league games, and we've drawn 2 on the trot in the league. So far this season, but potentially he changed the system, especially at the back. Matic was playing as a central defender. He didn't have to do that, Mourinho, because obviously Marcus Rojo had been injured, but he was available for the Southampton game, so he could have put Rojo there. We know Smalling, Bailey, Lindelof's obviously out until mid-December this month, and obviously we know Sanchez is out in that left wing position as well. So we have got a few injury problems at the moment, but he changed the system around. He spoke that obviously we know we was 2-0 down, and Manchester United only seemed to play when we desperately need to show some marked desire and passion. We was 2-0 down the first 20 minutes to Southampton. We know Hughes and Mourinho obviously both under pressure. Southampton only won one game all season. Obviously, we're currently sitting 7th in the league. We could be 9 points behind top 4 today. Mourinho said he basically wants the top 4 by the January transfer window. And potentially for me, form season not good enough. His managerial style, his style of play is not good enough at the club, and I think there's quite a few players unhappy with him here. Obviously, we know he had a disappointing transfer market. We know he's had disputes with the top players as well. And Mourinho, he said in his post-match interview, a lot of balls in midfield. He said in the last 15-20 minutes of the first half, we did well. He said connecting well with the attacking players, and he mentioned that. He said the right choice of pass, and he also mentioned accelerating the game and playing. He also mentioned accelerating the game, and he also mentioned, apart from the interference in the attacking midfield, there were positives to take from the game as well. But potentially, we did get back into the game in the last 15-20 minutes. I thought we did pretty well in that last 15-20 minutes to pull ourselves together to get us back in the game. It was good to see Rashford get 2 assists. Lukaku to get his name on the score sheet first time. In like 12, 13 games. And Herrera's goal, very, very good as well. And lovely little flick in the box, and that made it, 2-2. And then potentially I thought Man United, would have had the quality then to go on and win the game, but potentially it didn't happen. Second half, and there were quite a lot of chances in the game, but second half, neither team really pressed for a winner in the second half. It filtered away in the second half. It was an entertaining first half, but potentially no. Goal difference very, very bad now in the league, as we all currently know. And potentially, though, there could be still players leaving Manchester United. I think Bailey, he can't get into the team. Rojo, he can't get into the team. Obviously, we know Darmian wasn't in the squad yesterday. As we said, he went with the 5-3-2 formation. These performances are just not good enough at Manchester United. And I think, we need the board and the owners. Who's to blame? I'd say Mourinho's to blame. I'd say the board, the owners, and the players are to blame. So I think it's a mixture of who you can blame it on. But mainly Jose Mourinho. Everyone speaks about his team selection, his tactics are currently run as I said, and this is his 3rd season now at the club. He's spent just under £400 million on 11 players. He's sanctioned obviously 14 off. Since Ferguson's left, we've had different managers with different styles of play, different philosophies, and we know potentially it just hasn't worked out as we all currently know. 4 draws this season, 4 defeats. It's not looking very, very good in our first 14 games, and we are 16 points from top as well. And essentially, we've got a big game on Wednesday night. The FA Cup for the 3rd round draws tomorrow as well. So potentially, yeah. So there's been potential news anywhere about potentially David De Gea. Reportedly, he could be on the brink of securing a new deal at Manchester United. I think the deal will have to be potentially worth around £300,000 a week if David De Gea is going to sign this new deal. It confirmed press the other day that we activated that clause to extend his current contract till 2020 with the club. We know potentially Mourinho said David De Gea wants to stay, and Mourinho had said that he's convinced now he wants to sign a new deal. Mourinho said quite a few weeks ago he wasn't too convinced that David De Gea was going to sign a new deal with the club. You know, he's made over 2 century appearances since he's been here. Just potentially made under 100 clean sheets as well. But partly, Man United probably may, pay him £300,000 a week, will potentially make him one of the highest paid players, at the club, and the highest paid goalkeeper in currently world football, as we all know. But potentially, David De Gea has been linked with PSG. Confirmed Jordon Mendes has been in potential discussions with Juventus about potentially making a move there for next summer. Potentially Paris Saint-Germain have been mentioned as well. We all know they're under financial fair play regulations. Paris Saint-Germain reportedly did say they're willing to offer him around £60 million fee, a 4-year deal, and £300,000 a week as well, David De Gea. But potentially, we know, I think, deep down that David De Gea does want to sign a new deal at the club. But I think what it said is in the press the other day, he's wanting to know if Mourinho's going to be, still in charge at Manchester United. He wants to know if he's still going to be here. And he's waiting for Manchester United. Apparently, he said David De Gea is waiting for Manchester United to make a key decision, regarding Jose Mourinho. So this is what he potentially said. But we know he was good, with Atletico Madrid, where he's risen up the ranks fantastically well. Fergie got him for 17-18 million pounds. This is now his 7th, 8th season now at Old Trafford, and he's won everything, apart from the Champions League as David De Gea. But potentially, I think his future's still uncertain. But I think anyway he will sign this new deal at Man United. Potentially, Man United have identified a main priority target if David De Gea does leave next summer, and reportedly Jordan Pickford is on top. Is one of our main priority replacements if De Gea does leave. Reportedly, it did say Man United, if De Gea does leave, are preparing a £70 million bid for the player. Everton obviously has been at Everton since 2017. Everton paid, was it £30 million for him, and his performances for Everton have been very, very good, and he's in his prime. Very, very good in the World Cup, in Russia with England, in the World Cup. As I said, he's won Everton's Player of the Season, Everton Player of the Season, Everton Young Player of the Season as well. Obviously, Everton bought him from Sunderland, where he's up the reserve team with Sunderland, as well. And then he went to quite a few teams on loan. Lower division teams, did Jordan Pickford, and now obviously he's at Everton, and his performance has been very, very good. He is under contract with Everton until 2024, as we all know. Potentially, Everton wouldn't want to lose him, but obviously, £70 million, if De Gea does leave, could potentially persuade Everton, to sanction Jordan Pickford off. But I potentially don't think this will go through anywhere, because I think David De Gea will sign a new deal. This will only potentially happen. Man United will start negotiating with Everton, potentially making a move for Pickford and around £70 million if De Gea doesn't sign a new deal and he does leave the club next summer. Potentially, if we were to pay £70 million for Pickford, it would potentially be the second most expensive goalkeeper in world football. I think Chelsea's is the most expensive at the moment. They bought, I think that was during the course of the summer as well. But there's been potential talks about that. We know Joe Blanc was mentioned in the press the other day as well. Current Atletico Madrid goalkeeper said potentially Man United may identify him as a potential replacement as well. Joe Blanc, he's got an £87 million buyout clause and he's under contract till 2021 with Atletico Madrid. He's been at Atletico Madrid now, is it 4 or 5 years? So he's all experienced in Spain. He's supposed to be very, very good. In the past, he signed for Benfica just like the age of 17 when he was in his prime, and he was there a good 4 years. Part of the team won the domestic treble, and then obviously Atletico Madrid got him from there as well. I think he's made about 170 over a century appearances for Atletico Madrid as Jono Blanc as well. So he's been potentially mentioned as a replacement for De Gea, but potentially it's been that Man United potentially identifying Jordan Pickford as a priority target if De Gea does leave the club next summer. But Mourinho said now he's changed his perspective. He's convinced De Gea will sign a new deal, and he thinks from his own perspective, Mourinho, that David De Gea does want to stay at the club. But I think David De Gea wants to know if Mourinho's going to be staying at this club. Potentially, for Mourinho to have any chance of staying at this club, I think we need to get top 4 this season and get Champions League for next season as well. I think Mourinho, his job's over at Manchester United. He's always talking about what he's won. He's always talking about what he's achieved and what he's won in the past. No Manchester United fans cares because he's not doing it here. The strappings of the club's too high for him, and I potentially just don't think the players are playing for Jose Mourinho. We know he's very, very arrogant as well, Jose Mourinho, and potentially the performances is just not good enough. Also, potentially, I think the board and owners need to, focus on recommending the right man recommending the right man to come in this job. A man that's got the winning mentality, a manager that's got a winning mentality, a manager that would have the stature to come to this club and command us in that position, and a man that can make us challenge, compete, and win major honours. Like we used to under Alex Ferguson. We're not doing this under Mourinho. Jose Mourinho has not met the expectation levels, as we all currently know. So there's a few pundits have been backing him. There's some people saying sack him. A lot of Man United fans do want him out now. As I said, and it was a disappointing game yesterday. First half entertaining, but we shouldn't be 2-0 down in the first place to a team like Southampton. First goal of theirs, poor defending again. We know that we've got defensive issues. Mourinho's plan A shit. His plan B shit. As we all know, I just think he's clueless. Is Jose Mourinho, to be quite fair. Potentially it came out in the press. I said regardless of who we get in, I still want Jose Mourinho out of the club. Potentially, it said for the January. It said reportedly Man United yesterday or a couple of days ago had reportedly agreed terms for Raphael Varane. He's been a potential Manchester United target as well as Raphael Varane. Reportedly, Man United, it did say it could cost them up to 89 million, up to 89 million pounds to get the pursuit of the player, which would potentially make him the most expensive, defender if potentially this was to go through. But reportedly, it said Man United had agreed personal terms with Real Madrid for Raphael Varane. Do you think he'd potentially be keen on coming to the Premier League? We know he's never had experience of playing in English football, but obviously we know he's worked with Mourinho in the past, so they do have a good bond, and they're looking for a reunion, as we all know. Do you think Manchester United will, be potentially prepared to pay £89 million for Raphael Varane? I think the most expensive defender at the moment is Liverpool's Virgil van Dijk for £75 million. But Raphael Varane, still in his prime, very, very young. I think we're best off getting a young defender, as I said, because we have got defensive issues, and potentially Raphael Varane, since he's been at Real Madrid, in his career at Real Madrid so far, he's made over 200 appearances, he's won 15 major honours as Raphael Varane. And 2014 FIFA World Cup, got nominated Young Player Award. 2018 FIFA World Cup played every minute, and his performances are very, very good. And he's potentially classified as one of the best centre backs in the world, central defenders in the world, and potentially during his Lens days. So he's highly experienced in France as well, because in his Lens days, he reached up the ranks fantastically well with them. I think he was in the youth academy for 8 years or something like that. And then potentially he made his senior debut for them in 2010-11 season, and then he potentially went to Real Madrid and has established himself well with Real Madrid. But reportedly, it potentially Manchester United have agreed personal terms. We also know that Milan Skriniar is getting mentioned in the press. Man United have reportedly been interested in Milan Skriniar as well. Reportedly, he's rated at around £70 million. Back in 2016, won the Best Under 21 Player award as well. Did the player, and he's now at Inter Milan. He's been at Sampdoria in the past. I think he's been at Inter Milan since 2017 now. I think there were talks that Inter Milan were interested in wanting to renew his contract. But obviously, we know obviously Inter Milan are under financial fair play regulations. Obviously, Inter Milan are looking to obviously offload some players, to avoid financial fair play sanctions. Obviously, Inter Milan just recommended a new CEO director into their club, which is Beppe Marotta, and he potentially wants Inter Milan to sanction a couple of their players off as well. And he's only young, he's Milan Skriniar. I think he's 22, 23 years of age, so he is still in his prime as well. But he's been mentioned as well. We all know Ivan Perisic. Ivan Perisic has been mentioned. He's been a potential Manchester United target. Reportedly, Man United, were in talks last summer with Inter Milan about potentially Man United getting Perisic. Man United, I think, had 2 bids turned down. Inter Milan were demanding in the region of £48 million. Man United were reluctant to pay up to the £48 million. I said about him, Man United, we've looked to pay the £48 million. Good two-footed player, good in the air, he's highly experienced. You know, he's age 29. He's Ivan Perisic, and I think he would be an ideal potential replacement, you know, for Alexis Sanchez, as I said. And Ivan Perisic, you know, he's beat Club Brugge in the past, Borussia Dortmund and Wolfsburg, and he has won honours with them as Ivan Perisic, but potentially hasn't been to his potential this season. He has a good bond with Luis Spelti. His versatility is good as well. He's proven himself well in Italy. He can play as a winger, he can play as second striker, and he can play as an attacking midfielder as well. Can Ivan Perisic. So potentially, reportedly, Inter Milan have reduced the price now. Reportedly, they reduced it by 17 million. So reportedly now they're demanding they want 31 million pounds for Ivan Perisic as well. As I said to you in the presser the other day, though, of what it currently mentioned, it mentioned potentially. I know it's not true anyway. Beppe Marotta, this is where obviously the narrative had basically stemmed from. The new Inter Milan director is obviously the ex-Juventus director. He was there for like 8 years or so, wasn't he? You know, he obviously has a good relationship with Public. It did say Inter Milan were willing to offer a players plus cash deal. So it says Inter Milan were willing to pay a £200 million for Pogba plus 2 of their players as part of the deal. So that was a players plus cash deal. I don't think there's any truth in it because potentially Inter Milan under financial fair play regulations anywhere. Inter Milan potentially, you know, can't afford basically £200 million anywhere. If it was to go for it, it would make the most expensive player in the world, but Inter Milan potentially, I just don't think, you know, can afford this, as I said. Pogba, if he is to leave, I think he will potentially, you know, I think he'll potentially maybe go back to Juventus. That's his old club. He had 4 or 5 good years in Chervin with Juventus. You know, he won honours with them, and he had 4 or 5 good years. And it said in the press quite a week or so ago, was it 2 weeks ago, that he did want to leave Man United. He told Juventus players he did want to leave Man United, and he said he'd like to make a potential return back to Juventus because he hasn't potentially made an impact, you know, since he's come to Old Trafford. As Paul probably hasn't proven himself well, and he doesn't play out like an £89 million player, and that's what potentially Manchester United paid for him, £89 million, as we all know. So potentially, I don't think there's any truth in that rumour. Potentially, as you heard as well, guys, about yesterday, as I updated you with the Koulibaly news. Koulibaly reportedly is rated at around, is it 89, 90 million pounds? It did say in the press, reportedly, quite a few media outlets reported on that. Reportedly, Man United had put around an 89 million pound bid in. Reportedly, Napoli, the Napoli president of Napoli had reportedly turned this offer down immediately. I think Man United have put a few bids in. Reportedly, Napoli have turned this down. He's a very, very good central defender. He can play central defender, left back. He can also be deployed as a midfielder as well. Can Koulibaly, Jose Mourinho's been potentially interested in Koulibaly as well. Koulibaly, as I said, he's recently just been nominated African Player of the Year for Napoli. I think he's got a contract then 2022-2023, if I'm correct. And he's been at Napoli since 2014. He's also been at Genk and Metz in the past as well. But potentially, of what I've seen is some of his stats, he seems to be a pretty decent player. And he's been at Napoli for like 5 years now. So he's another central defender that Man United have potentially been linked with. So yeah, we are, you know, we've got a lot of players on our agenda that Manchester United have been linked with. You know, Toby Alderweireld's been mentioned. You know, obviously we know how ruthless Tottenham are. You know, potentially regarding their best players, as Mourinho spoke about. It's unlikely that we're going to get any major signings. Is what Mourinho said. He mentioned Tottenham as the example. He brought them into the equation. He mentioned he knows how Tottenham are regarding their best players. He says they don't sanction the best players off Tottenham, obviously, unless a lot of money's involved potentially. But this Jose Mourinho, we know Tottenham have sold the best players in the past, but Toby Alderweireld, it said reportedly Man United were willing to put a cut price deal for him in the January window. We know he does have a 25 million release clause next summer. He is a good player because he was very, very good with Atletico Madrid. He was very, very good with Ajax. Was the player. You know, he won honours with them. You know, he's been at Tottenham, I think, since 2015. I think it's his 4th season with Tottenham. Can play as a centre-back. Can play as a full-back as well. Toby Alderweireld. But reportedly, Manchester United have been interested in him. Man United were linked to him, obviously, during the course of the summer. but I think Tottenham were demanding in the region of around £60 million. He's not with 60 million. Man United obviously were reluctant to pay up to £60 million. Man United, as I said, so potentially we'll just have to see what happens in January. We're looking for them reinforcements as we do need. Mourinho's not convinced we'll get the signings we want. He hasn't done since he's come to the club, got the full signings that he wants. He's missed out on a lot of targets. Disappointed during the course of summer he didn't get a central defender in the squad, as I said. But potentially Manchester United, still, as I keep saying, got a lot of players, coming to the end of the current deals, as we all know. And the board and owners need to focus on that as well. You got Herrera, obviously got his name on the score sheet yesterday. Man United have reportedly been in talks of securing him a new deal at the club because he's coming to an end of his current contract as well. He hasn't really played from the start of this season. He's been making substitute appearances. And to be fair, he has done pretty well most of the time this season. When he has played, he wasn't so good in the Manchester derby. He did get his name on the score sheet yesterday, as we all know. Potentially Juan Mata as well. He didn't play yesterday, was on the bench. He's coming to an end of his deal. Man United have reportedly been in talks with him a new deal. I thought Mata could have at least started yesterday or, come on as a substitute. We all know we didn't. So, yeah, I think, there's a lot of pressure regarding Jose Mourinho at this club. There's a lot of pressure. And Mourinho confirmed Lindelof. I think he's going to be out till like late December this month. It's a bad injury he's got that he suffered against Crystal Palace last week. So potentially he's improved this season, to be quite fair, that centre-back position as Victor Lindelof. Potentially Mourinho's confirmed about Alexis Sanchez as well. I think reportedly he could be out till January. That Jose Mourinho had potentially confirmed. He could be out till January, could Sanchez, so he's going to miss crucial games that are coming up for us. Reportedly, his hamstring injury he suffered. Mourinho had obviously confirmed it in his press conference that Sanchez could be out for a long time, and he said his injury is bad. I think it's more severe than Lindelof. It's more severe, Sanchez's injury, than Lindelof's. But potentially hasn't really made an impact since he's come to the club as Alexis Sanchez. Potentially was good during his Arsenal days of Arsene Wenger, 4 or 5 years. He was very, very good there. Good with Udinese, good with Barcelona, but he has failed to establish himself at this club, Alexis Sanchez, and he hasn't delivered the goods. So potentially, I think he could leave. Reportedly he told his friends he wants to leave, and reportedly he is keen on making the move to Paris Saint-Germain, as we said. And so he could be gone within 12 months because he's been here nearly a year now. Because obviously we got him in January, and he hasn't proven himself at Manchester United so far. And he was frustrated that he got dropped against Young Boys as well. But potentially, as I said, the FA Cup draw is tomorrow. I think, is it today or tomorrow? I'm not sure. Might be today, actually. I don't know. I'll have to have a look. Be interesting to see who we get in the FA Cup. Potentially, we're not in the League Cup now. Potentially, we're in the knockouts now for the Champions League in February. So, potentially, Mourinho's at the moment just basically focusing on the league, trying to get points on the board, but try to better our position in table. But we're not going to do this with Mourinho being as manager. We're not going to obviously, do this, where we're performing. The performance is not good enough. And, Jose Mourinho, I think, just changed the whole system, the whole identity at the club. So, potentially, Giggs said he were backing him the other week. Giggs said he were backing Jose Mourinho. He thinks he can turn it around considering the success he's had. I don't think he can. But potentially, we know that Man United could appoint Zinedine Zidane if Mourinho is to leave. Confirmed, his son had confirmed he's going to be returning back to management soon after he stepped down as Real Madrid manager back in May. And very, very good with Real Madrid. He won honours with them. Zinedine Zidane, he'd had been in discussions before with his current representatives, Zinedine Zidane, about potentially coming to manage in English football. We know he's never had an experience of playing in English football or managing in English football. He's won honours in his time. He was a good player, when he played his senior career for Real Madrid and he played his senior career for Juventus and Bordeaux. So potentially, do you think Zinedine Zidane would have the winning mentality to come in the club? Do you think he'd have the winning mentality? Do you think he'd have the confidence? Do you think he'd be able to address the problems in the team? Do you think he'd be able to get the team competing and go out challenging for major honours? And do you think he'd have the stature to command us in that position? And Mourinho has not got it here at Manchester United, as we all know. And potentially, it hasn't worked out since Fergie's left. There were talks, basically, should we give David Moyes a bit more time because he only had a short tenure. He only lasted 9 months into the job. potentially he never had a great pedigree anywhere. Anyway, he's not proven as a winner anywhere, Moyes, because he's been sacked from more teams from Manchester United than Manchester United, as we all know. But it was good during his, was it 9, 10 years or so with Everton, but he was never proven to be a winner. But should we give him a bit more time? You know, Van Gaal had a good pedigree with Bayern Munich, but he never had the right philosophy. But potentially, I just don't know what's happened. So we need the right manager to come in. We need the players to play for the new manager, because obviously they're not doing it for Mourinho. And I think it's a mixture. You can blame it all on. You can blame it on the board, the owners, the manager, and the players. So potentially, yeah. So we'll have to see who we're getting in January. It's not long now till the January transfer window opens. Anyway, as we all know. So be interesting to see who we can get in. Looking likely that David De Gea will sign this new deal. I think he will anyway. So that's my opinion. So anyway, guys, that's something to do today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, guys, and I'll see you all again on my next video. Bye.